Artista and Eve. Hi. We're here today because we are going to share with you some really cool things all about
film cameras. Well, not all about film cameras, but about developing film.
from your film camera.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? It's like archaic. Most people don't even have a film camera anymore, and this is the first one that I shot with when I was in college, actually. This was my first good camera, I should say, that has manual settings on it. And it's not the greatest camera, but at the time it was what I could
That's
probably
pretty nice.
afford, and yeah, it takes great photos. So it's still in working order, and Eve and myself have used this to actually shoot some rolls of film. And today is going to be the true test as I teach Eve how to actually process the film in the darkroom.
We'll see how I do.
I think she's going to do great. But she's never done anything like this before, and it's a complete new experience. We have a darkroom all set up that I've converted my laundry room into, and it's a light, tight space. You can do it at home. It's not that hard to actually create a darkroom. You can read up on it, and you just want to make sure absolutely no light is seeping in, or you use a curtain or something to actually cover the cracks of the door. And when you're in that light, tight space, we're going to show you how to get a few chemicals and actually roll your film on a reel and stick it in a tank, develop those negatives, and then from there, we're gonna do some printing
All right.
on another episode.
Well, show us the darkroom.
Okay, let's go see
There
it.
we go.
Artista back, and now we're in the darkroom. This is my makeshift darkroom. It's not anything spectacular. It's just a laundry room, and sometimes the cat uses it too for her space. So we've had to make some adjustments here so that the room is empty just for our use. I have a curtain that covers all the light that's coming in, and it is completely a light, tight space. I also have a red light back here that I use on occasion, and that's for doing my printing when I'm actually printing my photographs. But in the meantime, we're going to talk a little bit about all the chemicals and the different things we're going to use today to actually develop our negatives. So I'm going to start here. This is your tank that you're going to be using today. The tank has a light, tight lid that locks on, and we'll get to that in a minute. And we're going to actually be putting our film on this reel. This reel is a plastic reel, and it has two little guides here. I'm going to show you how you actually pull the reel apart. So you twist it to unlatch it, and then you actually lock it so that you're able to enter your film on the guide. And in order to do that, you're going to start out with taking your roll of film out of the camera. So here's a regular Ilford black and white 100 speed roll. I already have one here to show you as an example that's already been opened to show you what we would be doing in complete darkness. So here's my roll of film, and you can see that this little lid has been pried off. So in the dark, essentially, you will use a can opener, and you'll actually pry this little lid off. It takes a little time to get used to doing it in the dark, so you might want to practice with some old film in the daylight first, and then when you have it down, shut the lights off and you're good to go. This little cap, this metal piece comes off, and then this is where the reel with the film on it would be. So I would essentially pull the reel out of the container, and I don't need this any longer, and then I would have my film reeled around this. I'm going to then take that film, and in the dark, I would have to know where my scissors were. I would cut the top at an angle so that it's easier to thread through the reel. And then I take that tip, and I'm going to slide that carefully into my reel. And you want to remember that this does take time. You actually put it in, and it has these little ball bearings, and it'll stop the negative right there. So you'll feel it hit the ball bearings, and then you're going to put your thumbs on these two guides, and you're going to thread the film around the reel. You'll see it moving, and you'll feel it with your fingers. And again, this is something you definitely want to try and practice in the daylight until you really feel comfortable, because after a while it becomes second nature. You're going to keep reeling all the way until you get to the end of your film. You can go rather quickly, actually. And when you get to the end of your film, you would essentially have this hanging off, the little spool. You'll take your scissors and you'll cut it off, again, while it's dark. And then you'll continue to reel until the end of the negative goes all the way onto the reel. So we now have the film threaded on here. At that point, I would load it in my tank, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Now, in case you should have an issue and you make a mistake, don't worry about it. You can always undo the reel and take it apart, and then put the reel back together and rethread it through and try it again. The only disadvantage is that if that happens, remember you are in the dark. So your negatives might drop to the floor, you might have to reach down, pick them up in the dark. So you want to kind of have a good sense of where everything is laying in your mind so that you can kind of feel for the scissors and the different things that you need. So here's my tank again, and I'm going to actually take the main spool holder, and it just places down in the middle, and then my reel with my film on it will actually get pushed down into the tank. From there, this is my airtight lid. I lay it in there, I click it, knowing now that it's airtight. And there is a little hole in there, light can't get through, but that is so that I can put this tiny little spool in here, and I can actually twist it to agitate my film once the chemicals are in here. I also have a secondary lid, which is like a rubber lid that will actually go on and seal on here tightly. Just seal it really good, and that will help when you're agitating the chemicals, just so no chemicals will spill out at all. Okay, so that's actually how you open your canister once it comes out of the camera, again using the can opener, and you take the film out. You once again will thread it on the reel and place it in your tank. Remember, it's got to be done in a light tight situation, otherwise your film's worth nothing because it will be exposed to the light. So keep that in mind as you're doing all of this. Can't forget that one aspect. If you have any light shining in, then it could definitely affect your negatives. So practice in the light and then have fun in the dark.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try and load the film or whatever it's called. Let's see, okay, so I got this reely thing and I shove it in.
It's like a puzzle.
There we go. Okay. So now I'm opening up my film. It's all ready. I cut a little angle on it. I find my little openings and I slide. Oh, wow. It's going to be fun in the dark. Okay. Hair first, film second. Okay. Here we go. This is going to be hard in the dark. Wow. Okay. Slide it through. And now I go. Like this. Yeah. Okay. Just. Can we start over? Let's start over. Okay. And I cut the thingy off. And then we're good. Then I take the developer tank and slide this in. Ooh. I take this to make it light tight. There. And I put the little doohickey inside here. And I'm guessing we put chemicals in or something. And then I shove this on top. And that's for practice. Boy, it's going to be very unique in the dark room with the lights out. Okay, cool. Thank you.